I want to talk about four specific lessons that we can learn from the Great Recession and that you can apply to your own practice. The first lesson is be a little bit contrarian here. When things get tight, what do most people do when it comes to spending, Naren? What is the natural human reaction when the economy tightens?
They pull back. They stop doing the things they used to do.
They stop doing it out of fear.
Right.
Out of fear.
Right.
And and I mean, we certainly want all of our listeners to pay attention to their expenses and not waste any money. Of course, be a good steward of your resources. But one thing I would encourage you to do is actually go on the marketing offense. Be on the offense when it comes to marketing, because it's a time when you can really, improve your practice by doing marketing. And what I would suggest is master the world of digital marketing. Like we have at Life Smiles and we teach our clients to do, master the world of digital marketing, and use Google to attract new patients to your practice. And you can do that very affordably. Life Smiles is a client of Equa, your marketing firm. I recommend Equa to our coaching clients, and they are spending a very modest amount of money to master organic search engine optimization. Naren, do you mind if I share your fees?
Absolutely, Gary. Please.
It's a $1,200 a month flat fee. And for many practices, that may be all you have to spend on marketing, that $1,200 a month. If you annualize that, that's $14,400 a year. And when you look at the results that you get from that and master all the areas of digital marketing to attract new patients to your practice, I would suggest that when dentists stop doing some of the things they've done, it opens up an opportunity to excel. If you're in a bigger area and it's hard to get on page one when someone types in a search term for a dentist in their area, it could be easier to do that with your expertise, Naren. It could be easier to dominate page one and be seen as the go-to practice in your area when anybody in your area is looking for a dentist. And let's face it, whether it's recession or not, there's people always looking for a dentist.
Correct.
Yeah. Naren, would you be kind enough to put a link in the show notes for our listeners to schedule a marketing strategy meeting with Equa to learn how things that could be done to master the world of digital marketing, to look how, I know Lila Stone will run that meeting. She'll look at your existing profile with Google, how you look in the eyes and mind of Google. She'll suggest things that you can do to improve, and she'll provide you with a plan moving forward. It's what I did over 6 years ago at Life Smiles, and it's what we recommend to our clients. And I'd say jump on our shoulders on this one. By the way, if you're just listening and you want to go to that site, www.equa.com/MSM, and that stands for Marketing Strategy Meeting. So yes. Number one, go on the offense regarding marketing your practice. I know that sounds contrarian, but that's what we did in 2007, and that's what I would recommend if, in fact, we're looking at whether it be a recession or just some dark clouds. Double down on that. So one lesson for sure. In our area, Naren, I'm in Phoenix. Maricopa County is the county. It's one of the largest counties by size, geography, and also by population in the United States. It's not the largest, but it's one of the largest. We had 1,800 general practices at the start. Before December of 2007, there were 1,800 general practices in Maricopa County.
Right.
After the recession, we know from public records that 400 of those failed. 400 practices failed. Out of a universe of 1,800, we went from 1,800 to 1,400. I believe it's understated because I believe there was maybe another 100 that were below the radar. There were very marginal practices that just weren't on anybody's radar screen. I believe the actual number was 500. Well, even if it was 400, that is a crazy amount of practice fail. In a normal year, 1 or 2 practices might fail. And over that 18-month period, 400 failed. But so many practices became stronger during that time because guess what? Those patients had to go somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Those patients had to go somewhere, and if you were marketing, you attracted those patients like we did at Life Smiles, and we figured out how to not just survive, but actually thrive in the midst of it, and you can too. The same thing will happen again if in fact, we're facing, that kind of economic impact. So number one, go on the marketing offensive, double down on marketing. And frankly, when I say double down, you're not actually going to be spending more because you'll likely spend less if you consolidate all of your marketing into digital marketing, into Google, at 14.4 a year. When you look at what percent of that is of your revenue, that's a very affordable marketing budget. All right, number two, focus on your current patient base. In particular, really focus on reactivating people that are past due in hygiene. In particular, because if we can fill hygiene, I like to think of hygiene as this wonderful holding pattern for our patients. Of course, hygiene serves so many wonderful purposes, not the least of which is helping our patients stay as healthy as possible and helping them reduce future dental expenses because we can take care of things at the earliest stage. But more hygiene patients correlates directly to a more productive doctor schedule. It's a one-to-one correlation. More hygiene patients correlate to a more production on the doctor's schedule because you have more patients, more opportunity to find things that are failing, more opportunity to move people along on necessary dentistry and even elective dentistry. So really double down. And today with the technology that we have to communicate with our patients electronically by text message or email, it's not a very time-consuming process to really do a thorough reactivation of people that are past due. Every practice has patients that are slipping away. Every practice has those. LifeSmiles, our clients' offices, they all have that. And yet those patients still think of you as their dentist, but they just don't have their next appointment. So let's do a campaign in your practice to reactivate past due hygiene patients. When things are really good, that's a project that often just drops off the radar. It's not done. And so there might be in your own office, it might have been a long period of time since you did any reactivation. And those are low fruit on the tree. Bring them back into your practice. They already know you. They already like you. Send out a text message that says, hey, this is Linda from Life Smiles Dental Care. We've missed you. A little playful. We've missed you. I'm reaching out to you to schedule your hygiene appointment. We now give a benefit statement. We know if we see you on a regular basis, we keep you as healthy as possible, and we reduce your future dental expenses. Give me a call, and I'll be happy to find a great hygiene appointment time that works for you and works for us. If you are using real-time scheduling app like LocalMed, you could put a link to that, or just click this link down below and make your own appointment right online. This would be a really good time to incorporate LocalMed into your practice. You might be surprised how many people will simply click the link and make their appointment, and how much admin time is being taken up there, Naren.
Absolutely.
Great strategy. So there's a second lesson, is really double down on your existing patients, in particular reactivating people from past due hygiene. All right, number three. I glanced on it earlier, but I'm going to amplify it now. Don't ignore high-value services. Don't make the assumption that nobody's interested in dental implants, in adult orthodontics, in smile design, or whatever are your high-value services. Don't make that assumption. By the way, if you make that assumption, then pretty soon that can be an accidental self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you assume nobody's interested in adult ortho, so guess what? You don't present it.
Yes.
and it becomes self-fulfilling. See? But, remember that a recession doesn't affect, or a downturn in the economy doesn't affect everybody the same way. There may be people that are more motivated by what's happening in their lives than the economic downturn. For example, you may have a woman, a patient in her late 40s, whose daughter is getting married coming up. The wedding's going forward. And guess what mom wants to do for that wedding? She wants to look her best. So what a sub point within don't ignore your high value services is this is a time to really get to know your patients. If you don't know the moms in your practice whose daughters or sons are getting married coming up, you should know that. We should know those things. What about the business owners you have in your practice that frankly benefit in a down economy? What about those? And you might say, well, wait, I don't know who owns businesses in my practice. Well, it's really a time to kind of get serious about the relationship-driven aspect of your practice, to know your patient. Know your patient. And remember that you don't ask, you don't get.
Correct.
And you can simply say, as you do a hygiene check to Linda, hey, Linda, I know we've talked in the past about you wanting to get your best smile ready for your daughter's wedding. I just wanted to check in with you and see what you're thinking. And she might say, oh, I'm so glad you said that. Let's get it going so I don't struggle, so I don't wait till the last minute when we're doing all the wedding planning. So don't ignore high value services, and don't fall into the scarcity mindset of nobody's interested. Mindsets, abundant mindset or a scarcity mindset, abundance or scarcity, abundance or scarcity. In a down economic cycle or a recession, where do you think most people's heads go with mindset?
I think most people, on default, they are in scarcity mindset.
They're in scarcity mindset.
Yeah, in downturn, it gets worse.
Subconsciously say, well, nobody has the money for this right now.
Yes.
That isn't true.
If you look at the economy, right, few percent do really well, and usually they have abundance mindset, and majority struggle, and that's because they're afraid and they don't want to, they're scarcity minded.
Peter Diamandis, the author of the book Abundance, we did this as book club with our clients, has a suggestion, and he suggests this anytime, but I think this might be especially useful in a down economy. Turn off the news.
Yes.
He is saying, it wasn't for, I credit Peter, but he didn't make it up, so he heard it somewhere else. And the saying is regarding...
CNN, it's crisis network.
Well, CNN, crisis network, but he says, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yes.
That's an old newspaper saying.
Yes.
And Peter gives credit. He said, I think it came up, back in the 1920s or the late 20s with the Depression. If it bleeds, it leads. And and that's because the human mind is naturally programmed through the amygdala to recognize threats. And we pay more attention to threats because that goes to neuroscience. The amygdala pays. That's why we're around today.
Yes.
It's because our great many times over, your relatives saw the threat of the saber-toothed tiger, and that's why we're around.
Right.
So the media knows that the way to get viewership or listenership or readership, whatever format they use, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yes.
So how about turning that off? Take a news moratorium. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. I'll be apolitical on this. It literally doesn't matter what side you're on. Yeah. All right, the last one. Great time to focus on fundamentals and systems in your practice. No better time than now. If we're facing a downturn, focus on fundamentals and systems in your practice. Because once you have those, you're strengthening your practice. You're absolutely straight. I know we've got some questions coming up in the Q&A segment that will allow me to go into more detail about that. But that's lesson number 4.